There is a moment, a split second, in which you make a silent decision when someone challenges you, accuses you, questions your worth or your intentions. In that moment, most people react as they have been taught. They defend themselves. That is not what I meant. That is not what I wanted to say. You misunderstood me, I swear. I am not like that. It sounds noble, reasonable, fair, but according to Machiavelli, it is precisely at that moment that you lose everything. Because by defending yourself, you acknowledge that you are weak enough to need that. And in the games of power and perception, that is everything. If they see you flinch, they do not see a victim, they see blood. This is the Stoic law that Machiavelli understood before anyone else. A person who defends themselves is humiliated. A person who does not compels the world to defend them. Let us clarify one thing. Defense rarely convinces anyone. It does not take away your power. When you justify your actions, you are playing on their field. You accept their terms, you are saying, without realizing it, that they have the right to question you. And once they have that, they own the narrative. Even if you are right, you still look guilty. Because only the weak rush to explain. The strong allow silence to burn. They let the accusation hang in the air, untouched, because they know that the real move is to turn the accusation into a mirror. To make them doubt themselves, to make them appear too emotional, to make them seem obsessed, bitter, unstable. Because the one who speaks first often loses control of the situation, and Machiavelli knew this. Whoever controls the frame controls the outcome. Most people defend themselves because they want to be understood. They believe that if they just explain enough, clarify enough, repeat enough, they will be justified. But this belief stems from emotional weakness. They are playing a strategy. Do you not want clarity? Do you want control? Clarity is for therapy. Control is for power. And power does not come from being understood. It comes from fear, respect, and untouchability. So when someone calls you arrogant, cold, egotistical, or manipulative, and you immediately say, "No, you did not understand," you have already lost because now you are reacting. Now you are showing that you care. Now you have passed the ball to their side of the field. And when you do that, you lose the most Machiavellian thing you have, your mystery. Think of the most influential people you have ever met. Not the loudest, not the most liked. Those who used silence as a weapon. Those who made you doubt yourself with just a glance. Those who, when faced with a downfall, never flinched. Machiavelli would tell you this. The one who explains submits. The one who remains silent compels others to fill in the gaps, and they often misinterpret him. That is the game. When you do not react, they start to feel uncomfortable. They begin to doubt their words. They look around for support and find none. Suddenly, their strength diminishes while yours grows. Because you have done what an emotional person cannot handle. You have forced them to speak to themselves. This is how you turn the situation to your advantage. Let the accusation die in the echo of its own weakness. Let us delve deeper. You enter a room and someone casts a shadow, subtly or directly. It may be a jab at your success, your attitude, or your past. Everyone turns to see what you will say, and now it is your move. Say nothing, offer no defense, make no counterattack, show no smirk, just calmness, complete stillness in that moment. You become untouchable because everyone in the room is compelled to ask themselves, why did he not react? Does he know something we do not? By doing this, you have made their attack stronger. You have just flipped the entire social situation because people are no longer looking at the accusation. They are looking at your reaction. Silence, if filled with presence, speaks louder than any justification. Machiavelli knew this. He did not just study politics. He studied psychology, and he understood one thing better than anyone else. Power lies not in what you say, but in what people believe you could say, but choose to remain silent about. And now, the coldest move. Sometimes, you do not just ignore the accusation, you turn it around. If someone calls you a manipulator, smile. Look over their heads and say, if you think so, without defense, without apologies, just cool, neutral indifference. What happens? They begin to fidget because they were hoping for a scandal. They wanted to see you squirm. Instead, they are left with their own weapon in hand. That is when guilt comes to their side. They start to wonder if they have crossed a line, if they have embarrassed themselves, if they now appear insecure. And guess what? They do appear insecure. You have just redirected the energy they threw at you and made them carry it. Without any effort, a moment arrives when the silence becomes unbearable. Not for you, but for the one who expected a reaction. That is when everything changes. They thought they were the accuser, but now they are exposed as the ones begging for attention. And you? You have become something much more powerful than just innocent. You have become untouchable. Machiavelli understood what most people will never grasp. Fame is not meant to clarify the truth, but to obscure it. And when someone attacks you subtly or directly, they want you to fight through the fog. They want to drown you in emotional explanations, because the more you explain, the less confident you appear. So instead, let them fill the silence. And what happens? They overreach. They repeat themselves. They begin to look desperate, emotional, unstable. You have said nothing. But now they are the ones being judged. Because the audience does not listen to what is being said. She observes who is calm and who is anxious. This is social power. It does not stem from being right. It comes from being unattainable. Imagine you are at a business meeting and someone subtly undermines you. They say, I am not sure this strategy is really well thought out. Or, does he always have such bold ideas? They are testing your reactions, wanting you to respond, which is what most people do. They lean forward, start explaining, proving, clarifying, and getting nervous, and those around them can feel it. But an experienced manipulator acts differently. They lean back, wait, perhaps even smirk. And if they speak, they do not justify themselves. They redirect the conversation. Let's hear your strategy. Now the attacker finds themselves in the spotlight. Suddenly, they become the subject of evaluation, feeling pressure, because the silence of a confident person is a silent accusation. It makes people feel insignificant, requiring no effort from you. In romantic or personal relationships, this is even more dangerous. For example, your partner says, "You no longer care about me." A typical person would panic, start explaining, convincing, defending themselves, thus confirming the emotional frame of accusation. But the manipulator's approach is different. You do not reject their words or argue. You allow the weight of the accusation to hang in the air, observing how your partner feels the drama of their words. Then you calmly respond, "I do not think so." Briefly, confidently, without explanations or justifications. Now they feel uncertainty, beginning to doubt their tone, questioning whether they were too impulsive. At this moment, you control what is most important, the emotional tempo. And whoever controls the tempo controls the frame. There's a deeper, colder tactic, not just to remain calm when accused, but to disappear. Someone insults you. No, do not react, do not acknowledge, but do not block them either. Let your absence become a mirror. Allow them to remain in the silence of being ignored. This breaks people in two ways. They realize you do not even consider them worthy of a response. They begin to surrender their internal narratives, and most often, this destroys their composure. Why? Because ordinary people survive on emotional validation, even in conflict. If you take that away, they wither, starting a downward spiral, writing more and talking to others, trying to provoke a response. And with each new attempt, they appear weaker, more obsessed, less balanced, while you remain still. At that moment, you win. Not because you proved something, but because they have destroyed themselves trying to provoke a reaction from you. This is where it becomes an art. Instead of defending against an attack, make their accusation a sign of their weakness. Someone calls you arrogant. It is strange how confidence irritates people. Someone says you are a manipulator. Only those who cannot be influenced say such things. Someone considers you a fraud. Everyone says that when they stop getting what they want. You do not just reject the accusation. You turn it into their insecurity. And now they are trying to justify themselves. This is not just a reversal. It is a strategic maneuver. You have used their own emotional strength and turned it into their public downfall. Machiavelli would call this a twist of the blade. Do not meet copper with a shield. Allow the attacker to fall on their own blade. The world seeks to protect its reputation, to justify itself, to clear its name. But Machiavelli saw this as a trap. He knew. The moment you start proving your innocence, you are already admitting guilt. A true strategist never plays this game. Instead, they appear so confident that they cannot be shaken. They are so elevated that they do not care, so clear in their position that they do not need to explain it. And gradually those who try to undermine them begin to seem unstable, irritable, dependent, and weak. The more you defend yourself, the more it seems that you need to. But the more you ignore, the more dangerous they consider you. And this assumption becomes a source of strength. Most people think that strength lies in proving something, their correctness, their innocence regarding rumors, their superiority over others' opinions. But Machiavelli would smile at this. Because the moment you start to prove something, you are already acknowledging the validity of someone else's judgment. And when you give someone that validity, you hand them the leash. Imagine you are at a company dinner or a meeting. Someone makes a public remark. You always act as if you know everything in the world. What do most people do? They tense up, try to joke it off, or worse, they start to explain themselves, trying to smooth things over. They think they are saving face, but in reality, they confirm that the blow has landed. In the end, everyone watches their defense, and that alone makes the initial remark more credible. But here is what Machiavelli would do. A pause. 2 seconds of silence. A look around the room, not with aggression, but with quiet pleasure. And only if necessary, they will say something calm, precise, and dismissive. You seem emotional today, or interesting opinion, or they might say nothing at all, just a long, steady gaze. What happens next is predictable. The attacker starts to fidget, seeks support, tries to explain their joke. They feel the attention in the room shift to them, because your lack of reaction says more than any words. You are not the one being judged. They are. In the digital space, everything happens even faster. Comments, posts, direct messages. People try to provoke you into a reaction. This is what Machiavelli would drill into your head in the court of public opinion. Silence speaks volumes, unless your silence instills fear. And here is the strategy. When you are attacked online, do not defend yourself. Do not explain. Do not distort. Do not pay attention to the accusation. Redirect the energy back to the crowd. For example, if someone says that you are toxic or manipulative, instead of tearful defense or a lengthy explanation, you respond. People always call you dangerous when they cannot control you. What just happened? You did not defend yourself. You turned the accusation into a symbol of strength. Now they appear hurt, while you seem unflappable. And the audience? They begin to wonder who is really in control of the situation. This is not crisis management. This is dominating the narrative. Let's explore more subtle strategies. There are 3 approaches you can use instead of justifications. Silence is the standard, cold, and powerful. It leaves the opponent bewildered. Distraction is reframing the situation without acknowledging the blow. Precise strikes are short, sharp truths that end the game immediately. For example, if someone says you are arrogant, you respond, "Confidence irritates the insecure." If you are accused of being fake, you reply, "I am not obligated to be authentic for you." If they say you think you are better than everyone else, you respond, "No, I just think differently." This is not a justification. It is a statement of status. They are not saying you are innocent. They are saying you cannot hurt me. And that is the essence of it. Machiavelli never sought to be good. He challenged people to see the bad in him and took pride in it. When you refuse to defend yourself against your enemies, something strange happens. They lose their balance because they expected a fight, but instead, they are battling a shadow. They begin to escalate the situation, becoming more dramatic, revealing their weaknesses. The more they do this, the higher you rise in the eyes of those around you. Why? Because you make them harm themselves. This is the ultimate game of Machiavelli. You do not destroy your enemies. You allow their obsession with you to destroy them. You may think being misunderstood is dangerous, but being predictable is far worse. An enigmatic person possesses mystery. A predictable one is easily manipulated. People who always try to explain themselves will find themselves in trouble. Those who remain calmly misunderstood instill fear. Machiavelli understood this. Better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. But it is even better to be mysterious than predictable, because a confused person is cautious. They watch you. They do not act thoughtlessly. And that means you control the situation. Let's break the last illusion. You do not need a good reputation to win. You need a strong reputation. A person with a good reputation is expected to be pure, gentle, and agreeable. A person with a strong reputation is not always liked, not always trusted, but no one dares to act against them, mentally speaking. This occurs when you never defend yourself. Your reputation becomes not what people believe, but what they do not fear you will do next. That is how you turn the power around. You stop fighting for approval, and instead, you create an aura that makes people cautious. Even your silence becomes a solution, and every action you do not take becomes a move in their minds. The ultimate evolution is not silence. It is an aura, a presence so confident, so far removed from petty fuss, that accusations simply vanish before they reach their target. This does not stem from a lack of emotions. It comes from a calm intention. For once you learn not to defend yourself, not to explain yourself, not to seek approval, you cross a line beyond which your existence becomes your protection, and then power becomes effortless. Think of those rare individuals who never justify themselves. They do not write lengthy tirades, do not strive to correct the facts, do not argue with critics, and yet they are met with greater respect. Why is that? Because silence in the face of accusations creates a myth, invites interpretation, and the human mind, left without explanations, fills the void with strength. People assume you must be dangerous. You must know something they do not. You are so self-assured that you do not even blink when challenged, and this assumption compels people to follow you. Machiavelli did not care about virtue, but he cared about control, and those who never defend themselves always control perception, even when surrounded by lies. That is the paradox. The more you explain yourself, the lonelier you appear, because no one feels the need to intervene when you are already defending yourself. But if you remain calm, silent, composed, unflappable, people begin to feel the urge to protect you. They say, "That was unfair. He did not deserve that. Why are you attacking him? He did not even respond." And yet you still insist. Suddenly, they become your advocates. And what could be better than protecting yourself by allowing others to do it for you without asking? This is the Machiavellian lever. Let the crowd argue for you while you remain above the noise. Now you are not just respected, you are elevated. This does not happen instantly. Build it like a fortress, stone by stone, acting with restraint, choosing stillness over reaction, never explaining more than necessary. Start here. Never correct insults that are clearly intended to provoke. Let them speak. Let them sound. Your silence tells those around you that the insult did not even register on your radar. Respond to indirect blows with calm bewilderment about the offense. This is how you see it, said with complete composure. It dismantles the emotional energy behind their attacks. Use short concluding phrases instead of defenses. Noted. Fine. Think what you want. Time will tell. Each of these closes the door. They do not invite further debate. They end the scene. Observe how you hold your face, body, and gaze. Machiavelli never flinches, never twitches, never tenses. His stillness is his armor. The more still you remain when others lose control, the more your strength grows in silence. When people do not know how to provoke you, they fear you, because you become unpredictable, not unstable, but inscrutable, a mirror reflecting their own instability. Machiavelli would say that the most dangerous person is not the one who attacks first, but the one who never needs to. You will reach a point when the attacks cease, not because you fought back, but because people know they will lose before they even begin. Your presence says, "I do not play defense. I allow others to destroy themselves in trying to reach me." There is a difference between strength and immunity. Strength still flinches, still reacts, still becomes emotional, even if it defends itself. Immunity does not even notice the blow. You are the ideal Machiavellian figure. You do not win arguments. You end them without even starting, because you do not need justifications. When you no longer need to defend yourself, people stop seeing you as someone to judge. You are no longer on their level. You have risen above the court of public opinion, and now only your own judgment matters. From this moment on, you do not live in defense. You live in definition. You define your image, your tone, your silence, and people feel it. They sense the confidence in your eyes, the calmness in your posture, the danger in your silence. You no longer resist. You command, and then everything around you changes. The crowd speaks less. Enemies grow silent. Your name gains weight, not because you fought for it, but because you never explained it. Not defending yourself does not mean never speaking. It means speaking only when it shifts the balance of power. When you say something, it should feel like a move, not a response. Because every time you do not explain yourself, every time you remain still while the world spins, you become someone they cannot control, a person who answers to no one.